They outlawed us like we were a virus. Not with a war, not with a bang, but with a damn vote. I was sitting in the rusted-out belly of a junk freighter orbiting dead space when the transmission came through. The words echoed through every frequency like a final verdict. By unanimous decree, the Galactic Council hereby designates Homo sapiens as a Class 9 exile species. All human presence within Council territories is punishable by erasure. Just like that, humanity ceased to exist on the official star charts. No debate, no trial, no last word. But here's the thing about outlawing humans. You can't outlaw rage, you can't exile memory, you damn sure can't erase men like me. Name's Cole, used to be Commander Cole Riker, Terran Fleet. Now, just another outlaw drifting among scavengers and ghosts. Except I wasn't drifting anymore. That message lit a fire in my gut that had been burning low for years. They thought we were broken, scattered, extinct, but all they did was wake the last wolves. See, the Council didn't ban us because we were dangerous. They banned us because we stopped playing nice. After the collapse back on Earth, after the nations burned and AI betrayed us, after the rich fled to their orbital kingdoms and the poor drowned in ash, humans didn't die off. We evolved, hardened. We stopped trusting hope. And when the aliens came offering peace, we took their hand with one and built weapons with the other. The Council thought they were integrating us, educating us. What they were really doing was giving wolves the keys to the henhouse. For a century, we studied them. Every weakness, every law, every species' fragile morality. We learned their tech, their tactics, their limits, and we never forgot who we were. That vote to outlaw humans, it came after a little incident on the mining moon of Hallex 9. A human crew, mercs mostly, refused to evacuate during a plasma storm, not because they were stubborn, but because a Zarn diplomat's child was trapped in the ore tunnels. The aliens abandoned their own. The humans didn't. 3 died pulling that kid out. One of them, Captain Mason Thorne, transmitted a simple line before the storm took him. This is what humanity means, you bastards. The Council couldn't let that go viral, couldn't let their citizens start comparing their spineless order to a dying race of war-born apes, so they declared us outlaws. Not because we were a threat to the universe, but because we were a threat to their control. Back on the freighter, I watched the message repeat in 12 different alien dialects. I laughed, honest to God I laughed, not because it was funny, because they thought that message was the end. It wasn't. It was the beginning. I keyed into the secure channel, the old one they thought we'd abandoned. Static hissed. Then came the voices, gravel, rage, loyalty, human voices, mercenaries, traitors, warlords, scavengers. We hadn't spoken in years, not since the Black Treaty. But the silence broke with one shared instinct. They outlawed us, I said. And now, asked a voice I hadn't heard in a decade. Juno, my old tactical officer. Now we remind them what that means. The broadcast didn't reach every human, but it didn't need to. It reached the right ones. We weren't connected by command anymore. No flags, no ranks, no polished boots and brass medallions. That kind of order died with Earth. What we had now was something older. Rar. Packs of survivors, fire-forged loyalty, and grudges that spanned stars. Within hours of the Council's vote, the old channel was alive again. Not officially. We never left traces like the other species did, but there were signals. Broken fragments of English hidden inside automated cargo logs, subtle pattern shifts in drone movement, orbital beacons blinking in Morse. Humans were talking again, and not one of them sounded ready to surrender. I rerouted the freighter's course to Vega Drift, the last known human-controlled station outside Council jurisdiction. At least, the last one still standing. The Council liked to send cleansing patrols to these outposts, drones mostly, or merc teams from species that hated humans just enough to be cheap. But Vega Drift was different. It had guns, big ones. It sat like a rusted dagger just outside the exclusion zone, orbiting a dead moon that once held a Terran research base. Every surface of Vega was scorched, dented, leaking, or patched together with salvaged hull plating. But it lived. And more importantly, it remembered. Juno was already there when I docked. I hadn't seen her in 12 years. She still wore that same ragged flight jacket, patched with old insignias from a fleet that no longer existed. Her eyes were harder now, like polished stone. "You heard," I said, as I stepped onto the docking ring. She didn't nod, didn't blink. "I heard. What do we have left?" Her jaw tightened. "More than they think, less than we need." We sat in the command room, bare steel, low power, red lighting. The table between us was scratched with names, hundreds. Fallen crews, rogue captains, dead friends. I added one more with the edge of my knife. Mason Thorne. Juno sighed, eyes locked on the console screen. "There's word from Centauri ruins. 2 old Earth warships are still functional, docked in a forgotten yard, shield techs unstable, but guns work." I raised an eyebrow. "Which models?" "The Krakens," I whistled. "Those were banned by the Geneva Protocols. Anti-capital weapons. A single broadside can rip a city ship in half." She leaned forward. "Exactly why we need them." We both stared at the display as it loaded a map of the Council's core systems. Dozens of dots blinked, each a planet that outlawed our kind, each a silent dare. Around the edges of the map, thin red rings marked hostile human zones. They called them that to justify attacks, to spin extermination as diplomacy. "They erased us from the law," Juno muttered. "But they forgot something." "What's that?" She met my eyes. "We were illegal before. We just got better at it. The first step wasn't war. It was memory. We had to remind the galaxy what humans were." Juno and I reached out to old contacts, black market traders, forgotten captains, even a few hybrid species who owed us. We didn't beg. We offered them a chance, a cause, something more than this slow rot of council peace. I took a trip to the necrofields, where exiled human prisoners were dumped decades ago. No transport, no tech, just a planet wrapped in storms and carnivorous fog. Council policy said it was non-lethal relocation. They lied. I landed in the middle of a shantytown of survivors. Men and women with scars instead of faces, armed with makeshift weapons, speaking in clipped Terran dialects. They hadn't forgotten who they were. And when I told them what the Council had done, they didn't hesitate. "We're already dead to the stars," one of them growled. "Might as well haunt the bastards." Word spread fast. Human convoys started appearing in the shadow lanes, hiding behind asteroid belts and forgotten jump gates. They weren't fleets, not yet, just fragments. Old warships stripped for speed, freighters reworked into missile boats, fighter wings flown by veterans with nothing left to lose. But they were coming. 3 weeks after the ban, the Council held a summit on Elix Prime to celebrate unity. The galaxy's media covered it like a festival. Peace flags, holographic light shows, speeches about progress and balance. Then someone hacked the broadcast. The screens flickered, a static burst cut through the music, and Mason Thorne's voice echoed across 1,000 worlds. "This is what humanity means, you bastards!" The screen showed his final transmission, raw, unfiltered, blood-soaked. It showed his men digging through plasma storms to save an alien child who wasn't even their own species. It showed the ship melting behind them. It showed Thorne's face as the storm swallowed him whole. Then came the message. Not from Earth, from us. "You outlawed us, you made us ghosts, but ghosts don't die. They hunt." And with that, the screen cut to black. The Council's response was predictable, panic wrapped in arrogance. They issued arrest warrants for anyone suspected of aiding humans, imposed scans at every major port, launched more patrols to cleanse human sympathizers, but they were too late. By the time they realized the infection had spread, it was in their bloodstream. A week later, a Council dreadnought exploded over the neutral zone near Hallex 9. Not by fleet assault, by sabotage. A human tech had infiltrated the crew 6 months earlier. One button press and 40,000 tons of alien steel turned into fireworks. The galaxy tried to pretend it was a one-off, an anomaly. Then a Council trade convoy vanished near the Black Reach. Then a Zarn diplomat's shuttle was found adrift, hull painted with human graffiti. "You created us, now deal with us. We weren't trying to win battles, we were making them bleed confidence." Juno stood beside me on Vega Drift's observation deck, watching the stars shift in real time. The station pulsed with energy now. Ships docking, engineers upgrading weapons, soldiers training. The ghosts were waking up. "You think they'll fight that hard?" she asked. I nodded. "They'll panic. They'll call us terrorists." "We are," I smirked. "That's the point." She looked at me then. Really looked. "And if we lose?" I didn't flinch. "We already lost Earth. We already lost our name. What's left is rage. And rage doesn't need a home." Juno didn't smile. She just turned back to the stars. "Then let's show them what it means to exile wolves." Vega Drift was alive again. You could feel it in the metal, like the station remembered it was made for war. Old grudges buried under sharper ones. No peacekeepers, just outlaws with calloused hands and haunted eyes. We didn't need an army, we needed a storm. And it began with Brax. He wasn't military, just a war-born kid from the orbital slums. First kill at 12, first fighter at 13, his own fleet by 15. No love for flags, only payback. I found him on the ruins of the Cinder Ring, an old black market turned debris. I told him what the council did. He just cracked his knuckles and handed me coordinates, a convoy route. Low guard, high value. Juno and I had 3 ships, a retrofitted frigate, a mining barge with torpedoes, and my armored freighter. We called it Operation Echo. It wasn't about loot, it was about fear. The convoy showed up. 3 transports, 2 escorts. No stealth, no jamming. We wanted them to see us. Juno's dead son fired first, slicing an escort in half. Brax dropped mines. I slammed into the biggest transport. We boarded fast, no speeches, just blood. We killed the command crew and broadcasted it all. The council couldn't block it fast enough. The galaxy saw what they created. Back on Vega Drift, something changed. The air felt electric. This wasn't just revenge, it was proof. Humans weren't gone, we were angry. The council responded with a siege cruiser, CNS Quarox. Their message? Surrender or burn. But we had salvaged Terran coil cannons, hidden in debris. When the Quarox entered orbit, we fired. Kinetic slugs hit at 20,000 meters per second. The ship didn't explode, it stopped. We boarded, captured the bridge, and filmed the officers in chains. Then we marched them through Vega's slums. The message? You outlawed us, but you didn't break us. The council went quiet, but only to recalculate. They started using proxies, mercenaries, bounty hunters, species with sharp teeth and cold eyes. Didn't matter. We weren't just resisting, we were spreading. Ghost stories, sabotage, hijacked broadcasts. Fear did more than bullets ever could. Juno was already planning the next phase, structure. She built the network. No leaders, just cells with 3 goals. Survive, strike, spread the truth. By the time the council noticed, half their systems ran on tech built by human engineers. We were everywhere. One day, I watched a council ambassador preach about peace, unaware the hollow projector was hijacked. His words fed straight to our base. We laughed. But war has a cost. Geller, Brax's second, was killed by a sniper. Juno took shrapnel and stitched herself up mid-mission. Some days we didn't eat. Some nights we didn't sleep. No one ever said stop. Juno said it best. They weren't scared of us. They were scared of what we represented. Proof their peace was built on silence. And we were done being quiet. That's why we hit Varaxis. Not a fortress, just a terraformed colony with Echo Hall, the council's biggest data vault. It held the real history, censored footage, genetic logs, re-education records. Juno called it their lie machine. We were going to make it scream. The plan? I'd go in as a captured smuggler. Brax would trigger a blackout. Juno's team would breach the grid. In 30 seconds of darkness, we'd steal the truth and burn the rest. They processed me like any other prisoner, shackled, scanned. A warden sneered. "You people never learn," he said. I didn't reply. In 30 minutes, he'd be ash. At 0400, the lights died. In those 33 seconds, we breached Echo Hall. No alarms, no resistance, just silence and lies. I stood in the vault, guarding the upload. Then I saw it, a face on the screen. A child. My brother. Black eyes, scarred lips, listed as a re-education subject. He'd died on that colony. I'd buried the memory. The council hadn't. They'd filed it under non-cooperative juvenile. My grip tightened. Juno's voice came in. 80%. Hold, Cole. Almost there. Sirens started. Power returned. But we were already gone, and the truth broadcasted across 1,000 shadow nodes. Every screen lit up with what the council buried. Massacres rebranded as peace. Prisons called rehabilitation centers. We showed our faces. No masks, no shame. Juno said, "Let them see. We're not monsters. We're the children of the truth they tried to erase." 6 months later, the council rescinded the human ban, quietly, one file at a time. No parade, no apology. But we didn't stop. We didn't want forgiveness. We wanted a home. We built a Shara from fire, a station turned settlement. Engineers, doctors, farmers, veterans, kids learning history no one could delete. And when the galaxy came with questions instead of weapons, we answered. We fixed jump gates, healed plague zones, built trust, not terror. We weren't ghosts anymore. We were stormwalkers, fireborn, survivors. We didn't burn the galaxy down. We lit it up. And when the vote came to seat a human on the Interstellar Accord, it passed. Not under the name Cole Riker, not Juno. It was Mason Thorne. Because that's what humanity meant now. And this time, the galaxy remembered.